welcome to episode 67 of The Pitcher or the Hitter, the podcast by the M-SABR Dynasty League for the M-SABR Dynasty League. I'm Cam.
And I'm Sahil.
And today we will be discussing a trade.
Yes, a trade was made.
Did y'all just start without me? Like, what happened here? And Andy managed to steal my identity in the process. You know,
He did. Yeah, identities were stolen.
That's cool. Well, identity theft is not a joke, but we're gonna roll with this. Yes, we do have three of us here today. Cam and I are here, as well as Cam's girlfriend, Lexy. How are you doing, Lexy?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It is awesome to have you on. I believe we had you on for an earlier episode a while back where you might have said like one or two things. This time, we're going to have you contribute a little bit more, including weighing in on this trade that was made earlier today.
Yeah.
All right. But I think Cam and I will start with our thoughts on the trade so you can gather yours. But the trade was Benintendies Chicken Tendies has agreed to trade Casey Mize and its 2026 first round pick to EVO for Trent Grisham, Brett Beatty, which for some reason in the sheet is written as Bretty Beatty, and Connor's 2023 second round pick. Cam, why don't you start out with your thoughts here?
So first of all, Bretty just feels like the natural combination of Brett and Beatty. If you combine both his first name with his last name. But I mean, this is clearly a huge win for Alex. I don't know what is going on. I guess Zane just really wanted Casey Mize. Maybe he's a real big Casey Mize believer, but yeah, no, this feels like a clear win for Alex. Trent Grisham is really solid. Brett Beatty is he's a top 10 prospect. Maybe not top 10, but top 20.
Baseball America has him ranked 39th.
Okay, so not quite, but
Baseball Prospectus has him at 13. So
okay.
Yeah.
So he's the consensus top guy. And there's also a second rounder in there. I guess we don't know where Connor's pick is going to be. And I just feel like that's so much value for Casey Mize, who himself is not super proven as a starter. He's certainly got that great potential. He was taken number one overall, but he hasn't really proven anything in the majors yet. Not that Brett Beatty has either way, but I don't know. If you're giving up Trent Grisham and a top prospect, I kind of think you want a guy who's like Framber, perhaps. And I don't know. Maybe you'd want a little more than Framber for that deal still, but I don't know. And the 2026 first rounder feels kind of weird. Zane has what you said, 7 2026 picks already.
He has 7 now, 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and 3 thirds. He's the only team with multiple first round picks in that draft.
Man. But yeah, one thing I do enjoy the fact that I recently traded away Trent Grisham, and Zane got quite a bit less for him than I did. So I think, I don't know, I'm normally on the other end of that. So I kind of like giving up a guy when his value is higher than a week later. I don't know.
How many times have you seen me do the opposite, like take somebody like for super cheap and then trade them for a lot more?
Yep. I mean, that happens. That happened. I feel like it happened with Tyone, but it worked out well for me because Matos broke out.
Yeah, although that worked out for me because I turned Tyone into Brandon Woodruff. So no regrets on either of our ends. That's what I like to call a classic win-win situation. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Has anybody had a more chaotic and confusing offseason than Zane? Like, what's the strategy? Like, is the strategy just to acquire a bunch of draft picks and Tigers? Like, that's fine, I guess, but like, I don't think he's making his team or his farm system any better than doing that. Like, we talked last week about the prospects that he traded away to get Torkelson. I mean, Bobby Wood Jr., Shane Baz, Zach Dean, I think those are all like top 20, 25 guys. And I mean, I think Bobby Witt was a better prospect than Torque. He traded away Kyber Ruiz after getting him. That's another solid prospect, as well as Jaron Duran. And now he's getting rid of probably somebody who I thought was one of his top 5 prospects in Brett Beatty. So the farm looks weaker. I don't think the major league team is necessarily looking better just by adding Casey Mize and Spencer Torkelson. Looking at this trade itself, like I'm not so sure that Casey Mize is suddenly going to be a top tier starter. I mean, the 3.71 ERA looked good last year, but the FIP was exactly a run higher at 4.71. It only came with a 7.06 K per nine. He only averaged basically exactly 5 innings a start. The 1.44 homer per nine rate wasn't amazing. He didn't have great K numbers in the minors. I mean, I feel like Casey Mize is going to be a decent pitcher in the major leagues, but I don't know if he's necessarily going to be a fantasy ace. And I think that there's a lot of chatter in the industry that also says that. Looking into, I guess like his 2026 first round pick too, like that player is not realistically going to contribute until the earliest, like 2030, 2031. That player is not going to be a guarantee. And Alex is going to be better by then, I'm presuming, because I think you and I both think Alex is on the upswing. And even if that pick ends up being a top 6 pick, I mean, just kind of how you have to discount picks that are that far in the future right now in terms of their present value, I don't give as much weight to that pick.
I'm going to be in my 30s by the time that pick is in the majors.
Yeah, exactly. Like we'll be in the league like it's 2022 right now, so that player might not reach the majors for another decade. Like I'll be 34 maybe by the time that player does anything, which is God, I don't even want to think about that. On the other side, Grisham is a guy I really like. He was very good in 20. He started the season off hot in 21 and then just kind of fell apart. I think there are some concerns in his profile, but I think overall, like the potential is still there. I think he's very easily a 2020 player next year. He's only going to be 25, and I think he could be an anchor in Alex's outfield. You mentioned how Brady Beatty is a very good prospect already. I like Brett Beatty. I think Alex, he expressed to me he had the goal of going out and getting a really good young third baseman. I think he's had some trouble filling in some of those infield spots this offseason. And, Jung and Brian Hayes, I think, are the 2 top prospects /
I get Jung and Beatty confused all the time. So that's kind of what when I said top 10.
Yeah, I think so, I think Beatty is in a tier below those guys, but I think Beatty's a very good prospect in his own right. And, I think he was definitely more affordable. And then to get the 2nd round pick on top of it, I think Alex definitely wins this trade. I like to see he's been a little more selective in making these trades. I think he got some good value here. And boy, I mean, if Grisham, pops off here, as well as the guys he has in the minors here, Riley Green, Julio Rodriguez, CJ Abrams. I mean, we talked in the last episode. I think those are 3 top 10 prospects. I mean, boy, look at this outfield. In a couple years, it's going to be pretty deadly.
But yeah, Lexy, what do you think of this trade? You've heard our thoughts.
Oh no. Well, I would like to say, for one, that I think that some things have been traded between multiple people. I will say I thought Benintendi's chicken tendies was spelled very differently than it actually was. I thought it was like Ben and tendies, as in like chicken tenders, chicken tendies. And I thought it was sort of weird that it had tenders in it twice, but that's not actually what it is, I've learned. And I think that Brady Beatty is not his name, but that's interesting person. And I think that trading a 2026 first round pick is ridiculous. And I know that you all do it all the time. I just think it makes absolutely no sense because it's going to get traded around a whole bunch more. It kind of seems like it means nothing. By the time that anything actually happens with it, you're going to be like 34, 32, 34. And I mean, like, at that point, you don't actually know if you're going to need that player or not. And it might turn out that, like maybe you have a team that's good enough without him, or maybe you don't. Like, I don't know, in 2026, you don't really know what's going to happen.
The player, if you take a high schooler, the player that you take with that pick would have been born in 2007.
That's insane. Oh my God.
I was a baseball fan by 2007. I was fully a person who
I was a baseball fan in 2007 too. I remember I like went into the city to like go and get my like 2007 Red Sox banner. I was so excited. I was going to marry Manny Ramirez. I was convinced in 2007. For someone to be born in 2007, that is ridiculous. I think people shouldn't be born in that year.
Man, I was 10 years old in 2007. Oh my God. Man, we are ancient. Funny that you mentioned, like, I don't get why people are going to trade 2026 picks, because there's one person in this call who has traded away all of their 2026 picks, and that is
I've heard.
yeah. I own, let's see, I don't own another draft pick actually until 2027. So
you're gonna get some. You ended up with a lot this year and last year. You're gonna get some.
I kind of wrong for that.
I pulled 2 first round picks out of my ass in this year's draft, and I am so proud of that. I that is some of my best trade work, but I'm not here to brag about myself. I do have more questions about Zane Cam, because I do think this is a really interesting trade. Is Zane a playoff team?
Oh God. I mean, by default, he probably is, right? But I mean, the top 3 are set. Four we got to give to Connor until proven otherwise. I think I like Jake's team better than his now.
What about Ruthvik?
That's a good question. Ruthvik, I mean, we'll see. He's not going to have the injury issues that he had this past year, but also he's done a lot of self-sabotaging of his team. So I don't know. I don't know what to expect from his team this year. I really don't.
See, I think his offense is definitely better. I mean, I think Kuiper, Duran, some of these other guys that he's gotten can be helpful. He got Glaber earlier in the offseason. I mean, I don't like a lot of the moves that he's made, but he's definitely brought in young players to try to improve that offense. I think what concerns me more is, like, what's Jacob deGrom going to give him next year? We know when deGrom's on the mound, he's the best pitcher in baseball, and it's not even close. But, I mean, he ended the season hurt. He's getting up there in age a little bit. Like, I've heard some rumblings that, like, there's some concern about his health still. Like, that's kind of the meat of it for me. He's put so much emphasis on pitching, and maybe the pitching doesn't pan out. I think that's where his playoff chances would end. But, like, for me, it's like, I think there's, after the top 4, there's kind of a blob between like 5 through 10 where, like, yeah, I could all see them sneaking in as one of those last 2 seeds. The only 2 teams I don't see as really having a viable path to the playoffs are Yuki and Daniel and Alex, or Daniel and Greg now. Sorry. I do think Alex and Andrew have some sleeper potential to make it into the playoffs. And I think Anthony's going to hang around the mix too, as long as along with the other teams that we've mentioned. But I don't know. I think EBO is kind of playing themselves a little bit out of a playoff spot here. And maybe they're all right with that, with all the draft picks and young Tigers they're accumulating, but we'll see. I feel like there is a clearly identifiable strategy last year with, like, say what you want about it. They committed to it, and it worked to get them into the playoffs. As weird as it kind of turned out in actuality. But I don't see a strategy this year to either win or to really build up a farm, because I think the farm's gotten considerably worse. And, you know, we saw what they did kind of with this Alcantara Hendrick deal, where they have so many picks, they're trading away quality players just to bring those picks in. And I don't know if that's necessarily going to improve their farm, you know, in a substantial way because of that, where they just have too many minor leaguers. And if they were cashing in those minor leaguers or those picks efficiently, it would make a ton of sense. I don't think they are. So I think this trade is just another example of a reason to maybe question them moving forward. But Zane always seems to find a way. So who knows?
He certainly does. But yeah, did you have any other questions?
I didn't. I will say it's nice to see the trades have started to pick up here. I know there have been some rumblings over the past couple of weeks, but nothing has really come to fruition. Do you still think that we're in for a decent number of trades? I think I put the over under at 8 the last time I asked you, and you thought that there was going to be more. Are you still feeling confident that we're going to see another big trade push before the season starts?
I mean, I think the rumblings are certainly quieter than they were when I said that for the start of the season. I think, yeah, I'll be optimistic and say sure.
Okay.
That's a, I don't know, a trade. That's less than a trade a week. So I think we can do that.
I think so too. I think you're right. Some of the rumblings have died down a little bit, but, you know, it only takes one trade to kind of break through sometimes for, you know, people to kind of recognize that the market's still alive and well. And yeah, I think, you know, as we get closer to the season, you know, people might, you know, feel a little more encouraged to put some moves together. But I know I've had a couple blockbusters fall through over the past couple of weeks, but yeah, we'll see what happens. I think I don't think the offseason's over by any stretch of the imagination, but that's all I got. Do we want to take a break, Cam, or do we want to jump right into the next segment?
Let's jump right into the segment. We're all here. And this is the segment that you're running. I don't really know what you're planning on doing, so I'm excited for it.
Yeah, so the reason we have Lexy on is this is our it is Valentine's Day coming up in about 8 days from when we are recording here right now. But nonetheless,
you might get this up. I'm planning to get it up on Valentine's Day, not the day after. So we'll see.
All right. So this episode, it is Valentine's Day today. And
you're really committed to that. Cool.
Yeah. And, you know, for some of you, you know, you might have dates, so, you know, you might be going out, you know, you might be doing whatever. But for some of you, like me, you're not in a relationship. So what else do you have to do other than listen to the podcast on Valentine's Day right when it comes out? So for those of you, we are joined by one of our league's favorite couples, Cam and Lexy. How are you two doing?
We're doing very well.
Oh, that's right. I already asked you that at the beginning of the episode. So
nothing's changed, which is a good thing.
I don't think you asked Cam either.
That's right.
I didn't ask Cam how he was doing. How are you doing today, Cam?
I am good. I'm good now that you've asked me.
Yeah, well, I've asked you twice now, technically. So, all right. You know what? Maybe we'll keep that in. Maybe we won't. Either way, we have a fun segment planned. So, obviously, you hear Cam and I talk a lot about the league and, you know, the way it has kind of affected our lives and shaped a lot of what we do. But I know there's a lot of other people around us who either have to hear us talk about the league a lot or are also affected by the league. So I'm curious to hear what Lexy thinks about the league. So first off, I hear you listen to the podcast pretty often. Is that true?
Yes, it's true. I listen to it every week. A lot of the time, if I get behind, I usually listen to it while I'm cooking.
I love that. It's usually I love listening to podcasts like when I drive or walk or stuff. So like not really just sitting down and just listening to it, but great to do to keep busy. Do you have a favorite episode or segment?
I had a feeling you were going to ask that. I don't really know why, but there was this one, it was one of the earlier ones where you pretended that you were talking about players from like 10 years before or something in the fall of 2021, I think. I really liked that episode. I also really liked the recent one where it was just you and Cam sort of talking about like the fake draft picks, the fake draft. I thought that was so funny because there were a lot of like random players that I'd never heard of, and random like M-SABR legend stories that I didn't know, and like names that I'd heard all the time. I also listened to Eric's podcast back when he did the interviews. I thought that was very fun because I'm sure most people don't know who I am, but I kind of know most of you to some extent. Like I know stories about most people. So yeah, I like those episodes.
I love that. No, Cam and I had a ton of fun recording those draft episodes. I'm still mad that he sniped Boof Bonzer from me.
That was good.
Yeah.
You got boofed.
Yeah, I got boofed. Oh man, yeah, that was Cam and I, when we recorded that episode, we were like, nobody is ever going to listen to this, but we're going to have so much fun doing it that it's going to be worth it. So I'm glad that at least somebody listened to it. Although I think my favorite reaction to that episode was Eric chatting me, and he was like, well, that was something. I was like, yes, that most definitely was something. That was oh man, yeah, that was quite the episode. But so another question I have here, Cam likes to do different voices and impressions.
Yes.
And yes, so have you heard what I like to call Cam's Frank Mazzucato impression, or should I say Cam's New York voice?
Hey, I'm Frank Mazzucato. Is that what you said? I've heard you do that.
Yes.
Would you like to demonstrate?
Hey, it's me. I'm Frank Mazzucato.
Yes. That never fails to crack me up. That is by far Cam's best voice.
I'm not sure if I'm allowed to tell this story, but before he met me, Tinder allowed you to talk to people from other places, and he didn't want to have people know that he was an American. And
this was like right at the beginning of the pandemic when they gave you a lot of the premium features for free.
Yeah. He didn't want them to know he was an American, and he was talking to this girl from Australia, and he was like, oh yeah, I'm from Canada, and she was like, oh, like, can I hear your accent? And so he recorded himself speaking in a Canadian accent, and he has demonstrated that for me as well.
That's a great story. I'm surprised because I can't picture Cam doing that type of thing. I can't picture you.
So funny.
I could picture you making the accent, but like, do you want to share the accent for us, Cam?
I would like that.
Okay, so what do you want me to talk about here? Talking about the league. I'm Joey Votto. Yeah, that's a little. I can't quite get it right now, but
we're just putting a lot of pressure on you right now to come up with your accent.
A lot of pressure, eh? It's a hard accent to kind of flip into.
You sound like Gordon Lightfoot.
Well, he's Canadian, so I think that works out rather nicely.
Oh my god, yeah, Cam does not look like the type of person who would just have a ton of accents just like ready to do, but he does. It just.
No, I was so surprised. It's always shocking. Yeah.
Yeah, you never know when he's going to do it. It'll just come out some randomly, and you're just like, oh, okay, Cam is he's now French Cam, or fucking New Yorker Cam, you know. Oh man, yeah. I hope Frank Mazzucato becomes a really good player, just so like every time we talk about Frank Mazzucato, he does the accent. I did give Cam an idea yesterday. I was like, if I can't be on one of the podcasts coming up, like Cam should just do the podcast himself as if like he is talking in his normal Cam voice, but also having a co-host who is him talking in the Frank Mazzucato accent. So Cam's just going back and forth with himself, but in different voices.
I would love that. You should do that.
One man show. That would be great.
I would slip in and out of it throughout the day. I mean, it would kind of become Rodney Dangerfield at some point. Hey, Frank Mazzucato don't get no respect.
Oh no! Oh my God!
Slipping out of accents. Like if you do one every once in a while, like you'll say a few words in the accent, like hours later even. He does an Italian accent, but sometimes it like picks, like it travels from word to word, so he'll say something in an Italian accent like hours later. I'm a Jim Henson. I cook with the Muppets.
I just want a show of all of Cam's accents. So we have to pick like each week, like Cam can only speak in an accent. We pick a different one each week. We do like a wheel before each episode. And like whatever accent the wheel lands on, that's how Cam is.
It'd be a good bet. Or if he loses the bet, he has to speak an accent.
I love that. Yeah, we'll have you do an entire segment in an accent if you lose a bet. I love that. Cam, you and I will make a bet on some player. You know what? In like 10 years, depending on how that Brendan Rodgers, Garrett Hampson bet goes, whichever one of us loses that has to do an accent on a segment of the podcast.
Oh boy, we'll see. That one's one that's kind of going back and forth. I'm excited to see how it ends.
Yeah, but like back and forth in a way that like isn't just not very good for either of us. I think one of them might have negative WAR right now. It might be Hampson. Let's see. While we're still on the topic of the podcast, one thing that I feel like Cam does a really good job of each week, although I usually just go to the playlist to listen to it instead of actually opening up the podcast, is putting good songs into the podcast. Do you have a favorite song that Cam has put in the podcast?
Oh, I do. Featherweight by Fleet Foxes. I love that song. I knew it before, but when I heard it, I was really excited to hear it on the podcast.
Great choice. I do love Fleet Foxes. Cam, I'm curious, do you have a favorite song that you have put in?
Ooh, good question. In terms of quality of song or how funny it was that I put it in?
Let's go with both. I feel like both would be fun.
Quality of song, I gotta scroll through the playlist. The first one that's jumping into my head is probably The New Year by Death Cab.
That was good.
Fight Test is great, and it's kind of, it's grown on me throughout. I chose Pain by The War on Drugs after losing in the losing badly in trivia.
That was really funny.
So those are probably the main ones, but I've discovered music here from putting into the podcast. Like, for example, our 2021 mock draft, I played a song called Mockingbird, and I really grew to like that. And there are countless great songs. I feel like around like the middle of last year, I played Free Fallin', All My Friends, No Surprises, Back to Back to Back. Those are 3 top tier songs for me. But anyway, as for songs that fit in a funny way, last couple weeks ago, I played a song called Unprepared because we were unprepared for our next segment. What I thought, I played I'm So Sad, I'm So Very, Very Sad from the Scott Pilgrim because I lost in the playoffs. I played the Air song, but I sing your name over and over again. And then the other one that's jumping to mind, I played Cool for Cats after the cat ran on the field.
Oh man, I remember that. Cool for Cats. I remember that was like the one Oriole game I watched like all year, like in full, other than the no-hitter and a couple in April, just because like I was like, so busy with my internship and also the Orioles sucked. And I was watching it while Cam and I were recording, and then just like a cat comes out on the field, and I interrupt. I'm pretty sure we were talking about a trade or something. I was like, I gotta interrupt you. There's now a cat on the field, and
I think we were maybe like doing the preview for the upcoming week or something. But yeah,
it was a good episode.
Cat on the field.
It was a great episode. I love the cat. All right. My other big podcast question. Cam and I are notorious for not realizing the proper way to close out episodes.
Yeah.
How do you feel about our outros?
I think the outros are really funny. I love it when you take a segment of something like either stupid or funny that someone said and you put it at the end. I also really love the like, this podcast is good. I think that's very funny.
Oh my God. Yeah. Cam, God, I forget what episode that came from, or like how that even came from.
30 for 30.
Oh, that was a good episode.
Oh yeah, that was a good episode. Yeah, I remember. Oh, that was a fun one. This podcast is good. Yeah, I feel like, and I feel bad because like when we had Greg on, like what was the last episode or 2 episodes ago? Like we did the Who Cares You Suck outro, and they have such a good outro. And then I like remember, I think we hopped off that record, and I told Cam, I was like, why can't we be good like that? Like we just like don't understand how to close out episodes. And I like to think we're getting better by making it just more and more like insanely awkward each time. But
yeah,
we've leaned into it, I think.
it's a little charming. I think if you changed it, it'd ruin your brand a little.
I think it would. I like briefly thought about like a different one where it was just like, but I felt like it'd be too much of copying Who Cares You Suck, when it would be like, oh, we have run out of time to determine is it the pitcher or the hitter? Like the answer to that question. I guess we'll have to find out next week. But I like being awkward a lot better.
I think awkward is really great.
I love it. All right. So moving on from the podcast, I have more questions in general about the league. Have you and Cam ever been out and Cam all of a sudden gets a chat and he's like, wait, like, stop talking. Like, I have to respond to this trade, or like something crazy that just went down in the league. Does Cam do that?
Constantly, all the time.
Constantly.
All the time. So much more than you think. And every once in a while he does it and he'll hide his phone. like he's ashamed that he's doing something for the league. And I'm like, oh, like what? Like, that's fine. And then he shows me and it's a trade. The most notable time that he didn't do it, actually, the most notable time he totally ignored it was on our first date. Because it was the day of the semifinals, I think.
Yeah, 2020 semis.
2020
which
semis.
Means our relationship is exactly as old as the podcast, fun fact.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Wow.
But yeah, it was the day of the 2020 semis. And we'd been sitting outside for like 5 hours. We were freezing cold and we went and sat in the car, but his entire time his phone would not stop buzzing, just constantly, and he was actively losing it at this point. And every once in a while he would like look like he wanted to pull it out of his pocket and look, and then he wouldn't do it. He would kind of like try and glance down without indicating that he was looking at his phone. And I was like, so like, what's like going on? You seem very popular. And he explained a little bit. I think he was embarrassed and didn't.
Oh, I'm sure I was.
Yeah, he wouldn't tell me about the podcast for a few more weeks. But yeah, he did not want me to know that.
But yeah, I'm glad, and I've shared this on the podcast before, but I'm one of the reasons I'm glad it was that Sunday. This was the Sunday, and one of the reasons I'm glad the date was that Sunday was that it gave me an excuse. It gave me a reason to not be looking at my phone. It gave me a reason. Okay, I don't have to focus on my phone. I am doing more important things.
No, I remember you saying that. I remember you saying that you had a date so that you couldn't be looking at your phone. And I didn't realize that was your all's first date. But I remember you telling me that. And honestly, it's my fault because I guarantee you of the like 500 chats that you got, like 490 of them were definitely my like monologue of just like what was going on.
It was, yeah, Austin Meadows is on deck. Austin Meadows is coming up to bat. Austin Meadows for the West.
Yeah, well, you and I were playing. I mean, that matchup was insane. I mean, I still think is the if you had to rank the craziest matchups in league history, that was by far number one. I mean, man, Jose
and then that same week might be number two.
Well, oh yeah, Ruthvik and Zane. Yeah, I mean, both of those. It looked like going into that day, it was going to be you and Ruthvik in the finals, and then both of you kind of lost in like some of the closest matchups I've ever seen. Like just nuts. But no, it's funny. I had grabbed brunch with some people that day, and that was before any of the games that started that day. It was maybe like 10 in the morning, and I kept checking my phone through that brunch, because I was like, just so paranoid that somebody would get like, would be benched or get like hurt, or like the games had already started. And then I had to keep reminding myself, it's 10:15. It's not 1 o'clock yet. I was like, gotta take a deep breath. But no, I was just so eager to finally win a championship that, I cannot keep from looking at my phone. But I'm glad you had a distraction that day, Cam, because you definitely needed it with the way that matchup turned out for you.
I'm glad he had one too, for other reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely for other reasons. Oh man. Poor Cam. Let's see. Trying to think. I mean, I definitely get it, because like I know I've had I think my favorite was in October, Cam and I announced a 3-team trade, and it was the day of the cut deadline, and I was like hammered at this bar. I remember like it was like the Red Sox were on, the Ravens were playing us that Thursday night, and I was really mad because the bar didn't have the Ravens game on. They had the Red Sox on. Or no, it wasn't even the Red Sox play. It's like some random college game. And I was like, why is this random college game on? I mean, it might have been UNC, but still, like, UNC wasn't good. So I'd have my phone out, like, watching the Ravens game, and then I'd switch between that and, like, responding to trades. And I just like remember Cam and I coming together in this trade, and he's like, oh, let me announce it this fun way. And I was so hammered. I was like, no, I'm going to do this. Like, I think I can do this. I know I'm drunk, but like, I can announce this trade. And sure enough, I announced this trade, and everybody's looking at me like, hey, do you want to like participate in the conversation here? Like, we're like talking, like, and I was like, yeah. Get to you in a second. So yes, I think I'm actually kind of surprised at your answer, because I feel like Cam, more so than some of us in this league, are better at not just kind of sitting and talking about the league all the time in normal life. But
I've never made a trade in your company.
Okay, but you've left dates too, I think.
No, that's not true.
But you've definitely like been like, oh well, I have to be home by like exactly this time.
That was for the 2021 podcast draft.
Okay.
And I was like, yes, I would like to be home for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, I love that. I love that I ended up being a priority here to Cam in some regard. I love that.
Say that Eric's not the priority.
Oh man. How much does Cam mention like me or other people in the league, and has Cam had some interesting stories to tell about us?
Ooh, like mostly daily I hear about you all.
I love that.
I think he talks about you and Greg probably the most, and then also Eric. And he has a lot of stories about most of you.
Oh, I love that.
And I know I think a lot more than people think I do. Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. Cam tells me about you quite often.
Yeah,
really?
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say close to daily. Maybe there's some days that you'll just like have my one-sided monologue where I just kind of talk to him about random baseball stuff I saw on the internet. But I feel like for the most part, Cam will mention something that you all have done. Or like when you all like if you all go out and then get drunk, I usually hear from Cam drunk, and then there's what was the sauce that was thrown at your window, like the soy sauce?
Oh my God. Sweet and sour sauce. He got sauce bombed. Someone threw sauce. Yeah. It didn't come off for a while.
Wait, actually?
Yeah, really? I did a car wash.
I did.
And it didn't work.
It didn't quite work.
So like I think I told Cam when I first saw that, it just like the picture of it looked like the windshield was like cracked. I didn't realize that the sauce was actually just sauce. And I had to chat him the next day. I was like, what the hell happened here? I kind of thought like either like somebody like cracked it, or if it was sauce, like, I don't know, Cam got drunk and like dropped like his sauce from a bag on there or something. Like I didn't.
On the outside
of the car. On the windshield. You lifted it up. Or I mean, it'd be a fun thing to like throw sauce at a car. I mean, when I was a kid in the 5th grade, I threw a stale cupcake at someone's sports car, and I was at a Halloween party, and then I ran and hid in someone's attic. I'd never been in that house before. It was someone else's attic, and then the person came and started screaming at everyone in the party. And my mom still doesn't know that it was me that threw it.
Gosh, that's great. Throwing a cupcake at a car. Oh man. I was playing catch once and threw a baseball that hit the roof of somebody's car as they were driving. I was a little too eager and not patient enough to forget or to let him pass before I threw. Thankfully, I don't think there's any damage. What about you, Cam? Have you ever thrown anything at a car? This is the hard-hitting analysis we need on the podcast.
Or do people just throw things at your car?
Yeah, people throw things at my car. I would play Frisbee in the street with one of my friends all the time when I was in high school, and his dad was kind of parked on the side of the road, so I would hit the back of his car fairly often. Not fairly often, but it happened a few times.
Oh man, I love that. Oh, that's great. Let's see what other questions I had. I guess like, Cam, were you like, how did it come up when you were just like, oh, hey, you should listen to the podcast? Like, was it your idea? Did you tell her about the podcast? And then Lexy was like, oh, I really want to listen to this. Like, how did that come up?
I never said that she should listen to the podcast.
He said not to listen to it. He was really against me listening to it.
I don't know. I didn't think you would like it. I didn't think there was, I don't know.
I had a crush on you.
Yeah. I don't know. I said, I have this podcast, and you're like, oh, I want to listen to it. And I was like, why though?
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to lie. I've told that to a few people too. Like my mom was like, oh, I'd love to see this sometime. And I'm like, why? And then like, even like my baseball fan friends were like, oh, I want to listen to this. And I was like, I guess like you kind of get the baseball part of it, but like I don't think you really care about the league part, especially if like you don't really play like fantasy baseball or dynasty baseball. Like it's like, I guess, but
I could never get into someone else's. I could never get into a podcast about someone else's league.
No, me neither.
There are popular ones about other people's leagues. There are a lot of popular ones. I mean, I would never listen to them.
I feel like oh, go ahead.
I wasn't saying anything.
All right. Well, I was gonna be like, I feel like there were like leagues with just like really just like crazy like statistics or like crazy setups, like whatever, like crazy categories. Where like, yeah, like I'm kind of interested to see how those go, but like not like a full-on podcast. Like I feel like I'd read like an article about it and then be like, oh, hey, this is kind of cool. But like, I don't know. I don't have the attention span to listen about somebody else's league. Honestly, I feel like Cam probably gets bored when I talk about my team sometimes. Like, I listed out all 20 prospects on my team last week, Cam, and you're probably like, why the hell is he doing this?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how many of them make it to the podcast. I'll also say in my defense, I think you talked about 18 of your prospects the last time we did farm system rankings. So I have no shame. I feel like everybody is very interested in Davison De Los Santos as much as I am. maybe not. I feel like I'm higher on him than everybody else, but yeah, that's I love that. I love that you didn't just like listen to it once and you're like, oh great, like, you know, like I like you, like I'm glad you're doing this, like, you know, it's cool that I listened to one, but that you actually listen to it every week. I think that is pretty awesome. I asked Cam at one point, I was like, how many people do you actually think listen to this podcast on a week-to-week basis, or like the full thing? And I'm like, I don't know how many do, but I'm glad to know that at least one person listens to it in full. Actually, I take that back. I know that Eric also listens to it in full every week. And
Andrew listens to it in full too.
Yeah, Andrew does too. Eric almost immediately, like Eric will chat me pretty much every week with his reaction, especially if we talk about him. I can't wait to hear his reaction to our farm system rankings episode because he's not going to be pleased. But at least for what I have to say, for some reason you like this farm better. That I feel like that never happens. But yeah, man, that was. I'm very glad you listened to the podcast. It's nice to know that my voice can be heard by the masses, or
I love it.
Yeah, it's
it's great. I mean, like, so I listen to it because I have a crush, but also I've gotten to the point, or I mean, pretty early on, like within the first few months of listening to it, it's kind of like a TV show to me almost. Like you're all sort of characters doing things, and I get pretty invested, honestly, in like week to week what's going on. Especially, I mean,
you've gotten to know the characters. Like, let's see, I'm gonna say Yuki. What's the first thing you think?
Catchers.
Yes.
He has a lot of catchers.
I love that. Oh my God.
I really love you guys. I think you're great, and honestly, I think that some of the stuff you do is like legitimate, or could be legitimate research, and I don't know, it's very worthy of, you know, time and attention.
I feel like Cam and I have enough knowledge where, like, if we actually one day decided to put together like a real like fantasy podcast and just talked about like general fantasy stuff, I feel like we could like be competent at doing it. I don't know if anybody would ever listen, but like I feel like we could do it. I
feel like we'd be better than a couple that are out there.
Oh yeah, for sure, easily. You and I have perfected the banter, which I think is a good part. Are there any other people that you see as like notable characters of the podcast?
I mean, there are a lot. Like there are a few people that I don't know as much about, but for the most part, I mean, I hear about everyone.
I love that. Yeah, I feel like it ends up being like a lot of Cam kind of giving good succinct analysis, and then me just kind of going on rants, and then Cam just internally sitting there being like, God damn it, I'm the one who has to edit all of this. And I feel like that's kind of the balance that we have struck. And it's a ton of fun for me because there's no consequences for me. But yeah, I just make Cam's life harder, which is maybe the point of doing all this. Anyway, I can mess with Cam. We all love messing with Cam. I still remember, I think my first impression of Cam when I first joined M-SABR was everybody being like, God damn it, Cam, like we're gonna boot you out every time like something like trivial would happen. And it wouldn't even be his fault. It'd just be like, Cam was a guy to pick on for like my first month in M-SABR, and then like I don't think anybody ever made that joke again. It was really weird.
Your first reaction of me was when I was doing the game.
Yes.
And which of it is the 3 Orioles pitchers?
Yep, that's when I knew I belonged. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that story.
Yeah, that's why. I mean, I still remember sitting in that Album Pond, and I was like, or not in the Album Pond, in the what's it called, the Michigan, not the league, the union. Thank you. I just saw that randomly on one of the walls there, and then I was like, okay, I guess I'm gonna like show up. And I remember like going to Starbucks, like purposely like to like be late. So I was like, I don't want to be like the first one there. So I slipped in the back like 5 minutes late. I thought it was cool. And then they were doing article signups that day, I think, signed up to write about the Orioles, and the rest is history. Oh man, yeah,
Now you do podcast.
yeah, and now we're doing this podcast. I mean, we've done so much stuff over the years.
You really
It's crazy because like it hasn't even really been that long too. Like I think at least for me, like it was spring of 2018, so like it hasn't even been 4 full years, but it feels like so much more.
I mean, time is weird.
You'd be close to getting a PhD. You could both be college professors.
Oh man.
There's the schools by me. There are 2 professors who are like basically only talk about baseball. It's like their research focus. You guys could be them.
Yeah, God, that would be a dream. If I could get a job that would like just let me talk about baseball all day and I could get paid a nice salary and just like not have to worry about anything, like I 100% would. Like, no questions asked. That would be great. I don't know, Cam, do you have any other questions, or Lexy, do you have questions for us?
I have questions.
Oh yes, let's hear it.
I want to hear stories about Cam.
Oh,
Stories
stories.
that you think there's a chance he wouldn't have told me that are either funny or ridiculous or even wholesome.
Cam is strangely wholesome. Like Cam, especially in Cards Against Humanity. I think a Cam and
Yeah.
kind of the cutesy wholesome one. But let's see.
Because it's so unexpected.
Yeah, it's
There's a Cam type of joke.
yeah. There's a Cam answer. I meant to say this when we played Cards Against Humanity the other day, and I think Lexi would appreciate this. Is that I feel like the Cards Against Humanity is a sliding scale between Greg and Cam, and everybody else is in the middle somewhere.
And then isn't there that like random fake person you put in?
Yeah. So sometimes we put an egg.
Egg, yes,
egg.
of course.
Oh man. Let's see. Good Cam stories. I do have a decent amount, I feel like. I don't know. I just like Cam. I played so many different games with Cam over the years, which is funny to me. Just like we've pre-podcast, I feel like a bunch of what Cam and I would do is just like play games like competitively against each other. Be like Strato. Strato was a lot of fun. We definitely had some memorable moments there. Let's see. Mario Baseball. Him and Greg were always a lot better than me. We had our 1 inning games. That spreadsheet is still somewhere. Have you ever told her about that spreadsheet, Cam, with like our results?
Yeah. There's a spreadsheet with all of our stats we kept in Mario Baseball. I completely forgot about that. I have no idea where it would be.
I think we kept the Strato stats somewhere too. Like I remember the binder, but didn't we put those on the?
I think there's a Google Doc with the Strato stats also. Yeah, it might be the same Mario spreadsheet. I doubt it though.
It may not be. Yeah, I forget. I remember the binder, and then we would have you enter in all this. Or no, I remember you knew how to score. So like and another example of Cam just does everything and I just get to have fun. Cam knew how to score a baseball game, and I don't. So like
Greg also knew, so he would.
Greg also knew. So like I feel like anytime I play you and Strato, like you would also score while playing, and then like anytime I wasn't playing, like one of you would just score the game, and then I would just kind of sit there and just like do whatever. And we'd always play at my place, so like I'd always just like, you know, whether I just sit there and, you know, fool around or like, you know, go talk to my roommates or whatever, like I just kind of leave you in there. I feel like I've definitely just left you guys in my apartment a couple times, just been like, here, just like do whatever. And there's definitely at least one time where like I had to leave with my roommates to go grab dinner, and I was just like, hey, like you all just like leave like whenever you're done, like just fine. Like they were over often enough where it's just like I feel like they'd be kind of surprised if like Cam didn't come over. I still remember the first time Cam came to my apartment, and I'm sure Cam has told you about this, but I remember feeling so bad because that night just like got so crazy with the random freshmen that my roommates.
Oh no, that was the first. The Gallardo party was the first time. This was the first time.
Second time. This was the first time my senior year that you came. And I remember being like, "Oh my god, like this kid's never gonna want to come back to my apartment again."
God.
Yeah, and then sure enough, like Cam, like kind of lived in my apartment. Like I feel like I'd be like 50% of the time I was there, like Cam was like also there. You were like our unofficial fifth roommate. No, it was. Let's see what other stories. I feel like all the good Cam stories are definitely stories he's already told you, because like Cam has done some like crazy stuff over the years. We've gotten ourselves into some crazy shenanigans, but like they're all just so jarring and so un-Cam like that I feel like Cam has had to have told them. The weekend I came to visit Cam after I started law school in Michigan was pretty hilarious. Just that whole like, I feel like I unintentionally came out with the goal of like, I'm just gonna wreck Cam's stomach. And like, even from the beginning, I took me to Fritos and I was like, hey, let's just order as much food as possible.
Oh my God. Yeah, you had a plan.
Yeah, I feel like I very unintentionally had a plan. I was like, hey, I'm staying with him like for free. So I was like, I owe him like food and stuff. And then like, literally, I think within like half an hour of us being there, Cam was like, yeah, I already feel like crap. And I'm like, all right. I'm like, this is the theme of the weekend. Man, it was great. What else? I'm sure Cam's told you about DJ Neil.
I think so. Yeah.
At very least, he was on the podcast where we did the Fantrax draft.
Yeah. So told that.
You're not dancing.
Oh yeah, you logged your nuts to Lansing. Yes, I thought that was very funny.
Do you still have the shot glass you bought from there?
Somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere. Yeah, I in my apartment, like I still have the little calendar program or whatever they gave us, like my ticket from that game. I saw all of that. It's sitting right here in a drawer. That was a good game. You didn't come with Zane and Kyle and I to the All-Star game.
No, that was the previous summer and I wasn't around.
No. It was that summer, but you had left by that point.
Oh yeah, I had left by that.
The previous summer, we went to Cleveland for an Indians game, or back when they were
like the dollar hot dogs.
Yeah, the dollar dogs, and so not a funny story about Cam, but a funny story about me. I thought the dollar dog night was meant like that, like dogs could get into the ballpark for $1 and there'd just be dogs.
What?
No.
What?
I was really disappointed. And then I saw like a dog like right outside the stadium, because I remember making a big deal about it. And I was like, you know what, this one dog is enough. It's like it made my day. But like Zane got like 6 of those dollar dogs, I think, or like I think he might have eaten like 4 of them or something. But like, yeah.
6 dogs for $1.
It was $6 for $6. It was an objectively good deal. They like cut you off at 6, but I was like, honestly, if you would have just kept going up, I don't think they would have known the difference at different stands. Let's see. Other Cam stories.
I think that's plenty.
I don't know if you come up with one.
You know what? If I come up with one, I'll tell Cam to tell you. I can't think of any other notable Cam stories at the moment. Cam is just Cam's just Cam. It's just I don't know how else to describe him. He is Cam.
He is. I love him.
He is Cam. Yeah, we all love him for that. Has Lexy read your Pecos League article?
I read all of his articles, and I've read the Reddit comments about them as well.
Oh my God. Yeah. The Reddit comments were great. I just searched up Pecos League just to see where that article comes up, and it is on the 4th page. So it's pretty high up there.
Wow. The 4th, wait.
For the entire league itself. Wow.
Yeah. I don't know. I like it. I think they're great. He sent me, I forget if it was that one or the Gallardo trophy
Awards, yeah.
awards. One of those two he sent me, like, we'd only known each other for a few weeks and he sent it to me. And that's how I learned what his last name was. And he wouldn't tell me his middle name for a long time because he thought I would steal his identity.
I don't even think I know Cam's middle name. What is this?
Oh.
What is his middle name?
Are you?
It's with a D.
Are you
You're not gonna
what,
guess
making
it.
one up? Davis.
I was gonna make one out.
Cam Davis Kane.
Oh, Cam.
That sounds right. That's a strong name.
It's a good name.
Okay.
I like it. I wonder if there's any baseball players ever named Cam Davis. That'd be fun. Well, there's a Chris Davis. So when I searched up Cam Davis, that was the first result. Ooh, there is a Cameron Davis in the class of 2024, middle infielder. There's both one with a C and one whose name starts with a K. There's a couple Cameron Davises. All right.
It's a good name.
It's a solid name.
My house is named the Davis House for some reason.
Ooh, there you go. That's a sign. There you go.
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
it's
like
my house.
It's his house. No, it's not. You know how we met, right?
No, can't tell me this.
But about Yellowstone.
No, he is. No, I need to hear this. I don't think I ever heard this.
Oh, well, so we met like a few years later, but when he was in Yellowstone working, I was in I stayed at the same hotel he was working at, and he probably made my food in the restaurant. I mean, we found that out later, but.
Oh, damn. That's such a coincidence. Maybe you two saw each other at some point. That would have been insane. I didn't realize you worked at Yellowstone, Cam.
You didn't know it for like the entire summer of 2017.
I didn't know you then.
I guess you didn't know me then, but I must have. Maybe I didn't mention it.
He hiked over 100 miles.
So I know that he hiked. I didn't know that he actually like worked at the hotel, because like Cam has all these pictures hiking on his media. See if I can find his Instagram.
Well, I have.
Cam used to be on Instagram. Maybe he's not anymore.
He is on Instagram.
I was when I was in Yellowstone, because that was the only way with no cell signal that you could communicate with the other people that I worked with. So I had a Yellowstone Instagram.
It's called Not Cam Kane.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay. I remember now. I see that all the, yeah. Sometimes it like randomly will pop up as like somebody you haven't talked to in a while. Not Cam Kane. Yeah. Here we go. Yeah. There. Yeah. It's just like a bunch of.
Really haven't talked in a while.
Oh, there's some good pictures of Cam in here.
I know, the one with the ice cream.
Yeah, that's the one I just pulled up. Oh, that's great. Definitely, I screenshotted that in case Cam now takes it down.
He will not.
I was 18.
You were 18. Oh man.
Wow.
I have to say, you look the same now than you did then. Although I feel like last time I saw you, you had a beard, kind of, or some sort of facial hair.
He does still. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. That is great. I've learned so much about Cam today, and Lexy too. This is fantastic.
We've had a lot of weird coincidences in.
We have.
Yeah. There are more. But.
Well, all right. This is great.
Yeah. Do we want to wrap up the episode, or?
We are
Have you ever talked about Chad Mueller with Lexy?
Never.
No, he won't.
Damn shame.
I've asked him, he will not talk about it.